I look out into this room, do you know what I see? I see women and a few men who are game changers. Yes? Many of you are leaders in your companies and your organizations wanting to make a difference each and every day. And if I had a game changer MRI that I could look into each and every one of you, you know what I would see? I would see some amazing creative and innovative ideas resonating in your brains. And I would see passion to take those ideas and make smart decisions so that you can make your dreams a reality using your gifts and talents. Isn't that just cool? Isn't this just a great opportunity to come together with like-minded spirits? Unfortunately, there might be a few people who, well, they don't share your enthusiasm. Maybe it's your work environment, or maybe it's your colleagues, or it might even be your leadership that doesn't share that same passion for being a game changer. And so in our very short time together, I'm going to share with you some lessons that I've learned from the bridge of the Coast Guard, and hopefully you'll be able to learn a few lessons as well. Does that sound like a plan? I like that. Afternoon, people are still awake. This is a good thing. So I remember very distinctly, it was my very first day in the Coast Guard. It was June 25th, 1978. And I know some of you are trying to do the math. I had just flown from my hometown of Los Angeles to New London, Connecticut to spend the next 4 years at the United States Coast Guard Academy. Pretty big move for me. I'd never been on a plane before, and I'd never flown, obviously, on my own. And the first thing they did was the barber gave me a buzz cut, not much shorter than the guys, but pretty close. And they gave me a sea bag of uniforms, including a jockstrap, men's boxer shorts, a lady's slip, and legs pantyhose. Anybody remember those plastic eggs that had disgusting, revolting pantyhose? Yes. Thank God many of us just don't even wear a pantyhose anymore. And then they ushered us into the nurse's office for our please don't get pregnant speech. There were 36 women in our class of 360. That's about 10%. And as we were waiting for Nurse Ratchet to come in, I distinctly remember second class cadet Joanne McCaffrey. She was in the very first class of women and was now responsible for training each and every one of us. And she said, "Gather round, ladies. Listen up. You have a choice. You can either be a bitch or a slut. You decide." Now, this is to a bunch of 17, 18, and maybe 19-year-olds. And you know what I was thinking? Like, so which did you choose? But then as I started thinking about it, it was like, you know, is this really a binary choice? Do I have to choose one or the other? Or is there another option in there? Can I choose another option? Can I choose me? Can I choose Kristin? Can I choose to be the best Coast Guard officer I can be? And this is without a best-selling book, a manual, or a mentor in sight. Here's what I learned from that experience, is that game changers do not live in the world of absolutes. They crawl in the crevices of possibilities. So do me a favor, grab a pen, and on a piece of paper, I know you're taking furious notes already, If you could draw a cup and a saucer, and you can be as creative as you like. Cup and a saucer, as creative as you like. Yes, she's checking. Ah, nice. Ooh, that's an integrated cup and saucer. Ooh, some are small because we don't want anybody to see our little cup and saucer. Cup and saucer. Now, I haven't seen many of yours, but I would imagine that many of you have driven a profile view. Any of you? Profile view? Yeah, in fact, most of you probably did a profile view. In fact, when I went looking for a video, I could only find this profile view. If you Google images cup and saucer, 90% of the views that you will get is a cup and a saucer. That's called default thinking. Default thinking, which is kind of dangerous if you just move into default thinking, but there are other ways that you can draw a coffee cup. You can draw a coffee cup. Whoop. We'll watch the video again. Nice video. You can draw a coffee cup from an aerial view. Some of you might have done that. Or you can be like my Nana. She liked to put the saucer on top of the cup to keep the steam from escaping. Different views, different options. Do you just accept the choices that people lay out for you? The binary choices, do you settle? Or do you expand your thinking? Game changers don't settle. They pause and they ask themselves, so what else? What are my other options? What are my other opportunities? They don't settle. And so if you'd like to be a game changer, I would try using, especially in a VUCA environment. A VUCA environment, I work with the military about how they process critical thinking and make decisions. And they use this term called VUCA. Has anybody heard of this term? Okay, so you learned something new, a couple of you. V stands for volatile. Things are in an unstable, shifting sands kind of position. U is uncertain, that you don't have enough information to make a good decision. C is it's complex. It's got a lot of moving parts and variables. And A is for ambiguous. There's no precedence set out for it. How many of you would consider that you're working in a VUCA environment? If you are, please say, oh yeah. Oh, you know, I thought so. You know, and especially when you're working in a VUCA environment, it is insane to rely on default thinking. Insane. So I suggest expansive thinking, and to do expansive thinking, you pause, you reflect, and you ask yourself, what are 10 other options? Now, those 10 other options might be completely crazy, but that's okay. At least you're exploring the possibilities. And if you can't come up with at least 10, personally I like 20, if you can't come up with 10, then look to the right, look to the left. You've got some very smart people at your table. Look to some trusted advisors, Joaquim de Posada, for you, Francis. These are the people that you can ask, so what are my other possibilities? So I wish I had even known about the 10X rule back when I bought an office building. Back in 1997, when I bought my first office building, there was a bank in Hampton, Virginia, that they literally picked up and moved and put onto a beautiful it wasn't a residential, it was a retail street, kind of like the governor's, I was going to say it in Spanish, but I can't remember it, the Fortalece. Thank you. Thank you. was kind of like that street. And I was just enamored with this building. And I had some money that I was thinking about investing, so I bought this building. I renovated it, I put some high-tech training room and some executive office suites in it. Now, was it a good decision or not? I don't know. Let's just say you had $50,000. What else would you do with $50,000? This is a throwable microphone. This is like a Nerf ball, and you speak into the black box, okay? So I'm gonna throw it to somebody. What would you do with 50,000? And then you can throw it to the next person. So who'd like to answer this question? What would you do? What would you do with 50,000? Maybe they don't want me to throw it from this big high stage. That could be way less intimidating. So Jessica, would you be my microphone person? What would you do?
I'm going to throw this to someone.
Yay, we've got one right over
there. Are you ready?
Jessica.
No, I got one right here.
Okay, and then you can throw it over there.
Perfect. Are you ready? Are you catching? Okay, ready?
Yay!
50,000.
Yep, you just talk into the black.
Just what?
Yep.
Yeah. This is a microphone.
Yeah.
Where is the money?
Where's the money? you would what?
If I cash it.
She wants the money. So what would you do with the cash? If you had $50,000, what would you do with it?
I will create an own company.
You would open up your own company. Excellent. Now, who would do something else? Who else would do something else? Right over here.
Where? Very good. Ready?
Seed money for my staff for good ideas.
Ah, so you would reward your staff for good ideas.
I would reinvest it and have them submit ideas of new projects and use it as seed money to fund it.
Okay, so you would reinvest it in strategic projects within your company.
Yes.
Excellent. What else would you do with $50,000?
Anyone else?
I bet you're resonating with ideas in your
here we
head.
go.
Oh, we got one right over here.
Okay, you go first.
I will make a nice family trip and then save money for retirement.
Okay, so you would put it in a retirement account. Thank you. Over here.
Where?
I think this lady in the lovely print.
That does
Maybe
not
not.
narrow it down in this crowd. Okay.
There you go. Last one.
There you go. Green, are you ready?
Okay, I probably upgrade my technology in my corporation and use some funds for seminars for my employees.
Okay, thank you very much. Good job, good job.
I don't know if there's more.
Oh, one more.
Go ahead.
I would take time off from work to just reinvent some of the many ideas that I have in my head, just to take time off and become more creative or something like that.
Okay, so I would take a sabbatical. Thank you, that's good. Now, this is a little bit harder than what you think. You're like, we're so used to default thinking. Force yourself to pause and ask yourself, what else can I do? What are my other options? Now, interestingly enough, when I bought this bank building, I didn't do any of that. I was so besotted. I was in love with this idea of buying a building that I didn't even consider any of those possibilities. Now, was it a smart business decision? I don't know, but I sold it 5 years later. 10x. The other thing that happened in this decision is I realized that my Achilles heel as a leader is really around confirmation bias. Because as I was getting information to help me make this decision about whether I would buy this building or not, I would accept the information readily for the option that I wanted, which was to what? Buy the building, right? And anything that kind of countered that, I would discount it. Has anybody had that happen to you? Nah, probably not. So here's an idea. We're going to play this one out. I have a rule in my head, and I have 3 numbers that I'm going to give you. You give me 3 numbers that you think follow my rule, and I will tell you whether you follow my rule or not. Okay? So I'll tell you those 3 numbers: 2, 4, and 8. Okay? 2, 4, and 8. Who would like to give me 3 numbers that you think follow my rule? 3, 6, and 12. Thank you. That follows my rule. What's my rule?
You double. You go doubling the same
Double
number.
my rule. That is not my rule.
No?
Who's got 3 more numbers?
I cannot see.
3 more numbers.
Anyone? Do you have numbers? Jessica's like, leave me alone.
Right here.
Oh, here you go.
Thank you.
12, 14, 18.
12, 14, 18. That follows my rule.
They're
What's my
all
rule?
even.
Pardon me?
They're all even.
That is not my rule. Who has 3 more numbers? 3 more numbers. Thanks for trying.
Oh, here we
3
go.
more numbers.
3, 6, and 9.
3, 6, and 9. That follows my rule. What's my rule? A pattern. A pattern. What kind of pattern? I mean, the rule is a pattern. What's the pattern?
Whichever one you want to take.
That is not my rule. 3 more numbers. 3 more numbers. 3, 9, 27. What's my rule? First one multiply itself, then that is not my rule. Okay, so let's take a time out for right now. What is happening as we're adding more information? You're like going, Kristin, you're crazy. You are not following my rule, right? You think you know what the rule is. And when you get more information, it's cognitive dissonance in your head. It's about living with that cognitive dissonance and listening to it and not discounting and not providing favoritism. It's really about being as unbiased as you can. So does anybody want to know what the rule is? You're dying to know, aren't you? Drum roll, please. Numbers in ascending sequence. That's all I was looking for. And yet sometimes we make things more complicated than they need to be. Interesting, isn't it? So in order to, does anybody find themselves challenged by confirmation bias? Yeah, sure. So the way that you combat that is that you go get more information and you don't discount it. Now, where do you get that information from? Where do you get that information from? You get it from devil's advocates. The people in your life who you trust and admire, who are going to tell you the unvarnished truth, who are going to tell you that your baby possibly could be ugly. Now, you might not have any of those people in your life. And if you don't, go to a trusted advisor and you ask them, would you be my devil's advocate and punch holes in my thinking? Get that cognitive dissonance. The third group that you can go to is to ask the people who are going to be affected by that decision. Think about the building that I bought. Who was affected by that decision? I was married at the time. I had children. I still have children. Husband, no. Children, yes. Just saying. Who else was affected? My employees were affected. Go talk to them, because those are the people that are easiest to sabotage your dream. Bring them into the fold and listen to the cognitive dissonance. You know, I figure that there are 2 kinds of people that give you true feedback. One are the people who love you. These are the people that you know have your best intentions in heart. They're going to tell you whether you got a poppy seed stuck between your teeth, lipstick on your teeth, your blouse is open, you have bad breath, whatever it is. Maybe it's a business issue, just saying. And then there are other people who are doing it more for themselves. Maybe they want to look better, show how smart they are. Or maybe they've conquered that same problem before, and they just want to tell you for your own best interest. This is the snarky side of women, and men too. But I see this happen a lot in women. And maybe you don't give them that feedback face to face, but you're certainly thinking it. Which side would you rather be on? Snarky or the giving side? Snarky or giving? As women, I pick the giving side. I like to think about positive intent, that I assume positive intent for each and every person that I'm around. And if you have toxic people in your lives, don't let them use you to make themselves feel better. So, each of us stand for something. I have a girlfriend of mine, Janelle Barlow. She's also part of the National Speakers Association. And she has this great idea. She talks about branded customer service, and she says that some things are on brand or off brand. For me, my brand is really about respect. I'd rather be respected than just liked. So I was on a ship of 180 feet long. I was the first woman on board with 52 men. And I decided rather than going for likability, I was going to go for respect. I think sometimes we just want to be liked, and likability is nice, but it's not, you don't need everybody on the planet to like you. So I decided to go for respect versus likability. And that requires kind of a different mindset. So I was on a board, I think, in your lovely Spanish introduction, which I couldn't follow at all, but it was a lovely introduction. Gracias. That's about all I know. When I was on this board, whenever we would get together, there are cliques of people because we hang out with people that we like, don't we? Some people call it the old boys club. Women do it too, by the way. And I'm not necessarily sure women's clubs are any better or worse than men's clubs. I think we need to be working together to lift all boats. And so when we would take a break in these board meetings, there would be people who would congregate together. And I just don't do that. I like to mingle, and I like to facilitate, and I like to collaborate. So I would make sure that I talked to everybody in the room, and that I didn't show preferential treatment to men or to women. And sometimes, frankly, as an introvert, I would just go escape into the restroom, because I just needed to take a break. As women leaders, facilitation and collaboration is a real strength that we bring to the table. Don't not let that light shine. That is a true strength that we bring to the table as game changers. And so respect is a touchstone for me. It's really important that I aim for respect and not necessarily likability. I look to my friends for likability. The workplace, not so much. 52 men, I didn't want them to like me, I wanted them to respect me. I'm also passionate about quality. I'm a fanatic, so I am really passionate about making sure that everything that comes out of my office is quality. And I'm dependable. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm like a dog with a bone. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So those are 3 touchstones. What are your 3 touchstones? Like if somebody has said, what's important to you? What are your 3 touchstones? We look at Frances Rios, experta en comunicación. Hey, my daughter coached me. She speaks fluent Spanish. So proud of her. So Frances, when you think of Frances, What's a word that comes to mind that you say, yes, that is on brand? It speaks about how she conducts business. What's on brand? Just shout out a word. Brave. Brave. So if she's not brave, if she's not a risk taker, that's off brand. What's another word? Vibrant. So she's full of energy. So if she's not vibrant and dull and not energetic, that's off brand. What else? Pardon me? Trust. So she's trustworthy. I would say those are 3 excellent words. Would you not agree? Thank you. On brand, off brand. When you know what those 3 things are, it's so powerful. But it's more powerful to get the feedback from the people who love and trust you about how you're coming across in the world. How are you coming across in the world? So, I used to do some work for the Coast Guard, and I think I'm going to fast forward here. Yeah, that's me. So I did some I used to train all the reservists on the East Coast. And one of the things that reservists don't have is a whole lot of time because they have a full-time job and they're also working. And so I did some time management training, and a core principle of time management is that you know what your core values are, what you stand for, your brand, and that you know what your personal mission statement is. And I had never done that. And it was really important that I walk my talk, I practice what I preach, I eat my own dog food. Has that ever happened to you? And so I put myself in a Sheraton hotel, much like what we have across the street, for a weekend, and I sat down and I figured out what was most important to me. And that was an eye-opener. Because what I realized in that time was that my personal mission was to make a difference in my corner of the world. That is something that has stayed with me for 20 years. It's the reason why I do the work that I do. It is my North Star. Your North Star is the star of Polaris. I was in the Coast Guard, and we learned navigation not by GPS, but by sextants and celestial navigation. That is how old I am, thank you. And so the North Star is the only star that aligns completely above the North Pole. And so wherever you are in the northern hemisphere, as long as you can see the North Star, you know where true north is. You know where true north is. You always know your path. Your mission, your brand values is your North Star. Do you have that North Star? Because let me tell you, when the haters come after you and they don't like your ideas and they don't like your actions, they don't like your passion, you can shake them off because you know what you stand for. You know what your North Star is. You know, we're living in a VUCA world. Each and every day we're striving to make a difference. And we are trying very hard to be game changers in a very tough world. And if you look around, we've got opportunities to make things better, to make a difference all around us. What about here in Puerto Rico? What about in your companies? What about in your own personal life? Where do you want to make a difference? Where do you want to make a difference? You know, for centuries, leaders just like you have been wrestling with 2 questions that I'm going to leave you with. The first one is, if not today, then when? And if not who? And if not you, then who? Thank you.